Hey guys, welcome to our channel. If you live in a zone 5, you know that it is seed starting time. So we have started to set up our grow lights and we are planting seeds today. So I wanted to show you our setup and how we start seeds, really to encourage you guys to start your own, especially if you felt like it's too expensive or you don't have enough time. This is really to illustrate that you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on a grow light setup, and you can really start with as many lights or trays as you have space for or time for, and go from there. So when we first started growing seeds in home, we lived in an apartment and we set our seed trays in a sunny window on the floor. So we didn't even use a shelving unit. We've also put them on tables in a sunny window, so you don't even need grow lights or a shelving unit if you have a sunny window. The only downside to that is you have to keep rotating the seedlings once they sprout to make sure that they're growing evenly. So you don't even need any of this if you don't want to. We have kind of rigged up our own grow light station. This is a plastic shelving unit that we have had for over 5 years, and we just reuse it every year. When we're done, we take it apart and we store it in the garage until next year. And then we've also rigged up, we've actually drilled hooks into the plastic so that we could hang our grow lights and have multiple stations. You can see that we have our box of seed starting supplies. So we have extra grow lights, which we might hang on this bottom tier if we need more space. We've had these for several years. And then we have our seed starting containers. We reuse these every single year. So when you buy things from the nursery, save the containers because you can use them for seed starting and then you don't have to repurchase things every year. And then our actual lights are not marketed as grow lights. These are actually LED shop lights, and they are cheaper than grow lights. We did have to buy new bulbs this year because we broke one of ours, so we did have to buy some more this year, but these, because they're LED lights, they last a really long time. So when we take this all apart, we just store them in the garage, use them for next year. This was $20 for 2 LED lights. I think the grow lights were almost twice that. They were like $20 for one light. The only thing you want to make sure of is that when you buy LED lights for growing seeds, that you're getting the 6500 Kelvin or the daylight brightness. The cool white and the sunshine is not bright enough to grow seedlings. But like I said, if you have a really sunny window, you don't even need all this. You just have to make sure that you keep rotating your seedlings when they get to that point. So this is it. This is in our living room. We don't have a fancy space that we keep our seedlings. So we'll have this up for a couple months until we can plant everything outside. Then we'll take it all down. When we get up in the morning, we plug it in, and then in the evening we unplug it. So between the grow lights and the sunny window, our seedlings will get plenty of light. Yeah, so that's our setup. I will take you over to our seed planting station, which is in our kitchen floor, and show you how I start some of my flower seeds. Okay, so here's our seed starting station. It is our kitchen floor. As you can see, we make a huge mess when we do this, so we just spread everything out on the floor and sweep everything up when we're done. So we have a little bit of a system. We get one of these big plastic tubs, and we just pour the starting mix in the tub because it's just easier to put the seed trays in and fill them up. So I'm going to show you, we've done all of our vegetables. I've almost finished with the flowers. I'm going to start today, but I did leave one tray empty so that I could show you how I do it. So these are my flower trays. I am starting today. So these are things that I even put a little note on there to start them by March 1st because, where is that? It says sow indoors 10 to 12 weeks before setting out after frost. So these I want to start a little bit earlier. I did Salvia Blue Victory. I love Salvia. They're one of my favorites in the garden. They're a total workhorse. They're tough. So I have to have some of these. So I did 2 rows of Salvia. Then I'm trying Brown-Eyed Susans this year. I always like to make sure every year that I'm adding native flowers and plants to my garden as well. So Brown-Eyed Susan is a native plant in my area. So I'm going to be giving these a try. So I did 2 rows of those. And then I'm also going to be trying Delphinium. Now I have tried Delphinium a couple of times and I never seem to have any luck with them. But I'm going to go for it again this year because they're just beautiful and I really, really want these to work. So I'm trying it again. One thing I am doing differently this year, hold on, I'm going to show you an example. Most seed starting kits come with seed trays that are pretty small. And I've noticed when I start flowers in the trays that are this small, they just don't do as well. So I actually had, I saved these trays from a nursery. They're like, I don't know, 2 or 3 times as big as the smaller cells. And I think they're a little bit deeper, and I think they just give the seedling roots more space. And I've actually purchased pretty large flowers from the nursery growing in these trays. So I saved them, hoping that if I start my flowers in a tray this size, maybe they will do better. So that's my experiment for this year. So let me show you, I'm attempting to do this one-handed because I'm holding the camera in one hand, but what I do is I set my tray in my dirt tub. I fill it up, and then I like to press the soil into the tray to compact it just a little bit, because I found that in the past when we don't do that, sometimes when you go to take the seedling out to plant outside, the dirt just kind of falls away from the roots, and then you just have these not very good root balls or plugs. So I found that just pressing the dirt in a little bit helps. And then I just kind of go over again on top and make sure it's full. And then I put it in my tray. And then I make a little divot to put my seeds in. And with some vegetable seeds, but especially with flower seeds, most flowers, the seeds are very tiny, and you don't want to put them in too deep because some seeds need light to germinate, and you also just want to make sure they're not covered too much because they're small and they can't, it takes them a really long time to grow up through, you know, if you put them an inch deep, it's going to be really hard for the seedling to break through at the top. So very shallow divot, and then after I put the seeds in, I'm just going to lightly cover that with soil. So let me attempt to do this one-handed. So this is the delphinium seed. You can see how tiny they are. So what I like to do is sort of pinch the seeds in between my fingers. Hold on, let me put these down. And then I just kind of try to sprinkle them really gently so that I only have 2 or 3 seeds per cell. And I like to do 2 or 3 just in case one doesn't germinate, just to make sure there's something growing in every cell. And then when they get a little bit bigger, you thin them out so that there's only 1 per cell, or 2 depending on the flower. So then I just lightly cover them. Okay, so they're barely covered with soil. And then we need to water them in. And it's really important to make sure that your seeds are moist until they germinate. If you let the seeds dry out, you can kill off the seedling. So instead of pouring water over the top of the tray, I like to take a spray bottle and just kind of lightly mist the top to get it going. Because if you just take a watering can and water over the top, what's going to happen is the seeds are going to float up and then they're going to shift around, and then you've kind of lost where your seeds are at. So, and sometimes they'll float right out of the tray, so we don't want that. So I'm going to mist it first just to make sure the soil on top is wet and making good contact with the seed. And then I take my watering can and I fill the bottom of the tray with water. So that the soil can absorb water from underneath. And that makes sure all the soil is nice and moist and you're not disturbing the seeds on the top. Then, another really important step is to make sure that your seeds are covered. So if you buy a seed starting kit, They often come with these little clear plastic covers. It's like a little mini greenhouse. It keeps everything in here moist until it germinates. So I put this under the grow light. I keep it on until all of the seeds have germinated. Once it germinates, you want to take this off because the seeds need moisture to germinate, but once they have sprouted, too much moisture is a bad thing and it can actually kill the seedling. So you take this off once everything is sprouted and then let it continue to grow under the grow light, and you make sure that it's moist but not soggy until you're ready to plant outside or in a container or wherever you're planting out. So this process is the same for, we do the same thing for vegetables and flowers. We did all of our cool weather vegetables today because we put those out sooner than warm weather stuff like tomatoes and cucumbers and beans and all that good stuff. That stuff we're gonna push off a couple more weeks because we don't want them to be ready too early. Especially in our area, spring can be really unpredictable. Sometimes it's really, really cold. Sometimes we get a snowstorm. Sometimes it can be flooding and we have a ton of rain. So this year we're going to try to push as long as we can before we put out our warmer stuff. I also have some other flower varieties that I'm going to start from seed that just don't take as long to grow. So I have a note on here that I want to start these in a couple weeks around March 20th. So I'm going to be doing some Mexican sunflowers. I've never grown these before, but when I see them, I always wish that I have some of my own. So I'm actually going to be growing these for myself and some to plant in my mom's garden. I'm also going to be starting some Cosmos apricata to grow in some containers. These are even later, so these I want to start around March 27th because they just mature faster. And then I have some flowers that I'm just going to be starting right outside. This is actually for my mom's garden. She has some trellises that I thought would be nice to have some morning glories growing up. These, I mean, if you look at the days to bloom, 50 to 80 days, these grow really, really quickly. So I'm just going to plant these outside when it's warm enough. And same with this alyssum. 49 to 84 days to bloom. So I'm going to be planting these in the ground outside as well. So that's what I have for seed starting this year. Although every time I go to the store and I have to look at the seed display, and sometimes I buy more because I can't help myself. So that's what I have for now. So let me take you back over and show you what it looks like when we have all of our trays actually under the grow lights. All right, so this is some of the stuff we've started. We have a bunch of lettuce in here. We've got beets, cabbage, kale. We're going to be putting some snap peas in here, and then these are my 2 trays of flowers. So we may need to attach another row of grow lights so we can use the bottom shelf when we add our warm weather stuff in a couple of weeks. So yeah, this is it. It's not pretty, but it gets the job done. So I hope this video inspires you guys. If you've never tried starting your own seeds before, or you're not sure how to go about it, and you don't want to spend hundreds of dollars to get started, you can truly do what you can do. If you want to start with one small tray on a window ledge, you can do that. If you want to kind of create your own setup, you can do that too. You don't have to spend a ton of money to do this. This was not an exhaustive step-by-step guide to seed starting, so it was just kind of the quick and dirty to get you started. But if you have questions or comments, feel free to put those below. I do try to answer when you guys comment. So if you have questions or I didn't cover something that you're curious about, let me know. We'll get back to you. So happy planting and good luck. We'll see you in the next video.